And on that note, it is Monday, and I am a Maddie.
Hi, I'm a Merlin. I'm the real one, not the faker that you just heard and saw.
Yes, he is back. He is recuperated for the time being, and we hope his pain will stay away. Well, for the most part, anyway.
I got lost last week. I forgot where I was going, and I ended up in CNN for some reason. But they wouldn't talk to me. Then I figured I was in the wrong spot. Now here I am.
So we have a good morning to a fuckwad, a good afternoon to a Hunley, a good morning to a Mezzo, a Neil, a Panina, a Rhetorical, and a Jacob this morning so far. And a Dragoneth who just popped in and said hello, and a good afternoon to a Hunley. So yeah. Over the weekend I discovered something. I sort of checked my revenue, and sometime within the next 60 days I will be getting my first payout from Twitch.
Oh, cool.
So thank all of you who have subscribed, all of you who donated bits, and the bit war that ensued on Friday. That's because that happened. Because according to Twitch, after you reach your threshold within 60 days is when you get paid out. Morning, Steves.
Hi, Steve.
Yeah, it's the bit war that did it. Yeah, it is. It is. Today apparently is National Apple Pie Day.
Oh, yay.
Yay! And if I had a kitchen that worked, then I'd probably be making one and money to buy the stuff. So there's that.
I would say I have an apple pie, but don't. But yeah, yeah, I have an apple pie in front of me. I'm eating it. Yum.
Oh my gosh.
We're on. It's a Twitch thing, Sandman. Or is that Jacob? Yes, it is a Twitch thing.
The old time radio thing is on Twitch. I don't do any live streams on YouTube anymore. He's referring to tonight when the old time radio show comes back.
And Thursday, I will be doing a coffee talk. I promise. I know I've been saying it for a month, but darn it, I'm doing it this Thursday. And I want Panita to join me, because she's the one that got me onto this topic we'll be discussing.
Okay. And let me see. Saturday's adventure. Saturday was supposed to be WoW, and it wound up being an early Mother's Day dinner for me, 3 aunts, and you know, whoever else wanted to treat us to that. So that was kind of fun. And being
was there steak involved?
No, but there was Italian food involved.
Okay, that's okay then.
That's I thought so. And being an only kid, I don't get interactions with siblings because I don't have any. But I got some chuckles out of the 2 aunts that were. One was a backseat driver. One was the one that was actually driving, and it got to the point where Jackie, the driver, turned to Jean, the backseat driver, and said, "Jean, I swear, if you don't quit telling me how to drive, I'm gonna put you out of my car."
That's always pleasant. That's a good time right there.
Oh, it was. Yesterday we did WoW for about 6 hours. Yesterday was also Mother's Day, so I decided to do what I wanted to do and play whatever music I wanted to play. And apparently there were a lot of people that liked my music selections because I was flip-flopping in between 80s music and my favorite music from all over the place. So,
you know what my fun was yesterday?
What?
I spent about 8 to 10 hours watching the volcano live.
Oh, wow. You got to see that live?
Yeah, another fish. We'll be talking about it, but yeah, there's storm chasers that are out there that have been streaming all day and all night. Volcano YT is the biggest one right now that he's been on since May 4th, ever since the eruption happened.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool stuff to watch and listen to.
Yep. So yeah, that's. Oh yeah, and Cancer Wednesdays are coming back because apparently everybody likes my funny voices and over the top stuff, and they like hearing you suffer. So we got to bring that back. Oh,
great! I will get you all back somehow, some way.
Yep. So all that stuff's happening and coming back, and let me see. On the 20th,
oh, we already got breaking news, by the way, right off the bat.
Oh, wow.
Supreme Court strikes down ban on sports betting.
Oh, well, okay. Well, people have been doing that for a while anyway, so it's not like...
Yeah, exactly, so. Hey, MC.
let's see what I can do about this, because we have the first tweet of the morning is actually a video. So let's see what we got.
Ooh.
Yep.
Should tell me to bring popcorn. Why didn't you tell me to bring popcorn?
But over the past few decades, a fleet of orbiting and landed spacecraft has greatly advanced our understanding of it. Based on this knowledge, Mars scientists are now ready to take the next big step, bringing Martian samples back to Earth, where the full power of our terrestrial laboratories could be applied to unlocking the story of the red planet's geology, climate, and especially its potential for life, either in the past or even today. But however you tackle it, returning samples from Mars is definitely a complicated problem. So how could we actually get a sample from Mars?
Morning, MC.
One approach is to use a series of 3 spacecraft working together like a relay team to deliver samples to Earth. NASA's next Mars rover, currently in development and planned for launch in 2020, will acquire a set of carefully selected samples of rocks and surface material and store them in sealed tubes for possible return to Earth. NASA and the European Space Agency are now working together to explore options for a pair of missions that could take the next steps to bring these samples back. In one scenario, after the Mars 2020 rover has placed its collected samples on the Martian surface, a second follow-on mission would land nearby, deploy a small rover to fetch the samples, and bring them back to the lander, where they would be loaded into a container and placed atop a small rocket. The rocket would then lift off, carrying the samples up into Mars orbit. Waiting in orbit would be a third spacecraft, an Earth return orbiter, that would find the samples in space, catch up with them, capture the container, and bring it back to Earth. With Mars samples safely back on Earth, scientists around the world would be able to study them in state-of-the-art laboratories for decades to come. The payoff of a sample return would be a breakthrough in our understanding of the history of Mars and of the potential for life beyond our home planet.
So there's that first tweet of the day, which I thought was really cool.
By the way, Mezzo, I like you. There goes sulfur. Yeah, there was plenty of that yesterday. Hunley, right now I treat a volcano like a hot tub. Uka la la hee hee. Gods be damned. And MC, today is going to be long.
Oh, yeah, I have a lot of work to do today. Donald Trump, about 12 hours ago, well, 14 now. So sad to see the terror attack in Paris. At some point, countries will have to open their eyes and see what is really going on. This kind of sickness and hatred is not compatible with a loving, peaceful, and successful country. Changes to our thought process on terror must be made. He makes a good point.
But it's a religion of peace.
You know better than that.
That's what CNN told me. It's a religion of peace.
Can't News Network. Didn't I get on to you last week about that?
But CNN told me it was about peace, like apple pie.
No, it's not about peace.
No. Apple pie, peace.
Nope. You know better. Department of Justice. Attorney General Sessions delivers remarks at the National Police Week 30th Annual Candlelight Vigil. And I have his statements on that, which was really cool. So let's go ahead and read that. I didn't know there was.
I didn't know there was a National Police Week 30th Annual Candlelight Vigil. This is the first I've ever heard of it.
Me either. That's why I follow this stuff, because I learned a lot of things about the government that I didn't know before. Let's see. I am honored beyond expression to serve as your Attorney General and feel the daily weight of my responsibilities. After over 16 years in law enforcement, I know what your work is all about. I know what you do. I know that without your courage, steadfastness, and sense of duty, the job would not be done. And we all know that in the performance of that duty, we love the lives of fine law officers. What is that job, that profession you've given your life to? It is to place your badge, your skills, and even your lives between the righteous and dutiful Americans and the predators that threaten them. This is tough work as well as moral and noble work, and it is essential. It is crystal clear that law, respected, honored, and enforced, is the crowning glory of our country. I do not only speak of our courts, but primarily tonight of those in blue who walk our streets interacting daily with real victims and real criminals. That's where justice must be done. President Trump has repeatedly said he is the law and order president, and the first order he gave to me on my first day was to back the women and men in blue. You can be sure that is the pole star of our efforts. And you can be sure that this Department of Justice recognizes and honors the courage, skill, and professionalism of our law enforcement officers. Over 30 years, with strong leadership, better training and policies, and improved education, crime went down in America. The homicide rate fell by half, thousands of lives were preserved, law enforcement led the way. But it seems we've forgotten some of the proven principles of law enforcement. State and federal prisons were reduced, the number of law enforcement officers declined, and crime began to rise again. Crime is a direct threat to freedom, to public safety, and to economic prosperity. No factory, no modern grocery store or pharmacy can operate where there is no public safety. And there is no doubt that the destruction from rising crime falls earliest and hardest on the poor and our minority citizens. We value and affirm all our citizens and must make all communities safe. Morning, DBSM Gaming and IOIK. Let me see here. We can never cede a community, block a street corner to the criminal element. We can never capitulate to lawlessness at our borders. To do so is to give our very sovereignty to outlaws. Law is more than abstraction. Thank you for the follow, DB.
Yay! Thank you.
To do so is to give our very sovereignty to outlaws. Law is more important than obstruction. Law must be made real. That means to those who destroy, abuse, or maim must be stopped. Victims' rights must be vindicated. That means we must support and honor those who protect us. And it is fitting and right that we join together annually as a nation to remember those that have given their all for us. I am reminded of the sacrifice of these wonderful American law enforcement officers every time I sign a letter to the families of every officer that has lost their life in the line of duty. And I believe it is one of my highest callings. Thank you for the biddies, DB. I believe it is one of my highest callings to bring attention to your successes and encourage your fellow citizens to support you in your demanding and difficult work. So tonight we remember our fallen heroes, we mourn their loss, and we rededicate our lives to preserving, protecting, and defending our principles of order and constitutional liberty that give us so well uniquely among the world, that serve us so well uniquely around the world. As long as I am Attorney General, the Department of Justice will have the back of all honest, honorable law enforcement officers. May God bless the souls of all those we honor tonight. May God bless each of you, and may God bless this wonderful country of yours. And thus was the statements from May 15th in the 30th Annual Candlelight Vigil to mark National Police Week.
Should I be applauding now, or what should I be doing?
Sometimes you wonder, right?
I mean, it's kind of hard to clap when you have a candle in your hand.
I know.
Oh, wait a minute, you're not supposed to clap. You're supposed to snap your fingers. That's right.
No, don't. Don't. That's SJW stuff. Come on.
Oh, sorry. Well, I didn't want to startle anyone, by clapping, put them into anxiety and depression.
Right. And our U.S. Department of Interior picture comes to us from Grand Teton National Park. It's a capture of a sunrise off the lake and the lake shore by Brian Schmidt.
Ooh.
Another absolutely stunning picture. So there we have it. Now, since we have a lot of it to cover, let's go ahead and roll this segue and get right into the news.
Woo!
Alright, and I started it this morning with a blooper because I was half asleep this morning. This show always has at least one.
We need to. That's our calling card, yo.
Right? At least one. At least one. Okay, here we go.
Exactly.
And we have the weather, which seems to be getting more and more pleasant depending where you live in the United States.
Unless you're in Hawaii.
Yeah, Hawaii's not having much luck.
Or Florida. Panina, get your umbrellas ready.
I know it. Out of the National Weather Service, and forecast is good through May 16th of 2018. A slight risk of severe thunderstorms today from the southern plains to the Midwest and east over parts of the Mid-Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic. Heavy rain possible from the Midwest to the Central Appalachians through Tuesday. Heavy rain possible over the east coast of the Florida Peninsula. Scattered to widespread showers and thunderstorms will fire along a quasi-stationary front over the central U.S. through midweek. The Storm Prediction Center has highlighted a vast area spanning from the southern plains to the central Appalachians along the frontal boundary as having a slight risk for severe weather. For additional details, please refer to the SPC website. Abundant moisture will feed northward over this boundary, and given the slow movement of the front, storms will likely track over the same area. This will increase the likelihood for excessive rainfall, which could lead to flash flooding for portions of the Midwest and Ohio Valley today. The area of risk will shift into the central Appalachians and northeast on Tuesday. Let me see. In addition, diurnally driven showers and thunderstorms will develop along ahead of the associated dry line through Tuesday, too. Additionally, a deep upper-level low over the Great Basin will slowly weaken through the Tuesday evening. The energy associated with a low will aid in producing showers and thunderstorms over parts of the northern Central Plains, northern Intermountain region, Great Basin, and Sierras, likewise through Tuesday. An area of low pressure is forecast to hang out over the eastern Gulf of Mexico, which will draw moisture from the tropics and into over Florida. Showers and thunderstorms are expected to generate over Florida and will slowly move northward into the southeast and into the central Gulf Coast by Tuesday evening. Periods of heavy rainfall can be expected for portions of Florida. This is the weather map, and as you can see, over the southeast region, you have got a chance of thunderstorms over Louisiana in this part. And I have a chance of thunderstorms today, seeing how I'm smack dab in the middle of this thunderstorm circle. Yay!
I know.
But you don't seem to have any problems with weather today.
Nope, not at all.
Can I have a jelly now?
It was a craptacular weekend, though.
Yeah.
So, but today's making up for it.
At least you're feeling better. That's important.
Shh, don't tell it. It'll act up otherwise.
Jacob, so I need my snorkel then. Possibly. And here is the temperature map. As you can see, temperatures in the 80s and 90s are going to be in the southeast today. Temperatures in the 60s to 80s are going to be in New England and off to the west and northwest. And there's still light blues of 30s to 50 degrees in spots in the U.S. So that is the temperature map for the day.
That's beautiful.
I know you like seeing that because that means you're not going to be hurting.
Yep. I'll be hurting for other reasons, but we don't need to get into that.
Alright, there we go. Now we got this thing straightened out. No.
Alright, like I said, yesterday I spent about 8 to 10 hours just watching the lava flow. Yeah. The fissure, it was fissure 18 that opened up. And the first thing that hit me was the noise. Man has nothing on Mother Nature when it comes to anything. Mm-hmm. It sounded like a battle that was going on. Every time it released its sulfur or whatever from the vents, it sounded like artillery going off, and it was just this loud hissing, and it was pretty cool. And then, of course, seeing the lava just float up like hundreds of feet in the air.
Yeah.
Boulders and everything else just flying like there were like little pebbles. Mother Nature is awesome. I'll give you that. Do we have the map up?
Yeah, we have the map up. I got the map up.
All right, so here's the map of all the volcanic activity. The middle, basically, is what happens from what I understand, like from the Middle East Rift Zone and the Lower East Rift Zone, and where Luana Heights is, or wherever that place was, the first where it happened. It's been going down towards the Lower East Rift Zone, towards the ocean. So if that happens, we might see another spectacular explosion of steam and stuff, because I hear water and lava don't like each other. Yeah. It's like oil and something else, and it goes boom. But anyway, I digress. Pahoa, Hawaii. A new fissure in Hawaii's Puna district sent gases and lava exploding into the air on Sunday, spurring officials to call for more evacuations as residents waited for a possible major eruption at Kailua. Is that how you say it? Kilauea.
Kilauea.
Yeah, there we go. Volcano Summit. Hawaii's County Civil Defense issued an emergency cell phone alert after the fissure was discovered early Sunday morning. The agency said one identified structure was destroyed by the new vent, bringing the total number of homes and other buildings lost to the lava to nearly 40. Lava spread across hundreds of yards on private land, and loud explosions rocked the neighborhood not far from the Liana Estate subdivision, where more than a dozen other active events have opened up in the past week. The new opening was still showing signs of activity through early Monday morning. The fissure measures about 1,000 feet, 300 meters long, and is officially the 18th fissure that has opened up thus far. Fissures 16 and 17 opened up on Saturday night into Sunday. So far, what they're saying is fissure 16 didn't really show any activity. Fissure 17 shows some activity, but fissure 18 is where the action was at yesterday. So far, since the eruption in early May, the lava field has consumed 117 acres of land. The U.S. Geological Survey Hawaii's Volcano Observatory said new fissures, ground deformation, and abundant volcanic gases indicate eruptions on the eastern flank of Kailua, are likely to continue. The Hawaiian Volcano Observatory reported the new fissures opened just east of the Puna Geothermal Venture Energy Conversion Plant, where steam and hot liquid are brought up through underground wells, and the steam feeds a turbine generator to produce electricity. Plant workers last week, as a precaution, removed 50,000 gallons, or 189,265 liters, of a flammable gas stored at the site. Geologists warned that Kaeruleus summit could have an explosive steam eruption that would hurl huge rocks and ashes miles into the sky. And that would look pretty impressive when that does happen. This is definitely no joke.
It is no joke, and they have been sitting on this powder keg for a long time.
They know the risk. That's the thing. They do know the risk, but they can't get insurance, volcano insurance, where Liana Estates is, and they knew the risk, so they know that. They're not like they're taking it with stride. I think
it's either flood or hurricane insurance that you can't get in some parts of Florida because the hurricanes are always blowing by there. So
right, it's like where I am. I'm supposed to have flood insurance, but they won't give you flood insurance. It's just insurance companies suck. Before you jump into the story, though, next story coming up, as of the latest I found out right now, with it's 37 dead, with over 1,400 injured. The situation is still fluid. As of before we went online, they were saying that they're basically almost all of Gaza is coming out trying to breach into Israeli borders. So, needless to say, there's going to be a lot more bloodshed by the end of the day.
And we're going to be keeping an eye on it, and either Merlin or I are going to be releasing a new report on our blog and doing an update on it tomorrow morning. So please keep an eye out on the website, and and keep an eye out for us. And remember, every morning, Monday through Friday at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, my brain isn't all here, so it's
no, Chacronis, though. I knew when I said fluid, somebody was going to say this. Is it gender fluid?
Right? Oh, we always have one. Mass protests in Gaza ahead of U.S. Embassy event in Jerusalem. And for those of you that don't know what the event is, they are formally commemorating the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem and recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. That's what's going on. That's what went on at 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in Georgia this morning, which was 9 a.m. over there in Israel. So, according to, and you updated that part. Will you hush? Stop. Gaza City, Gaza Strip. Thousands of Gaza residents headed toward the border with Israel on Monday, drawing Israeli fire in a potentially bloody showdown as Israel prepared for the festive inauguration of a new U.S. embassy in contested Jerusalem. At least 2 Palestinians were killed in the area of Monday's march, which was to be the biggest yet in a weeks-long campaign against a decade-old blockade of the territory. As crowds began to swell at midday, Israeli troops began firing from across the border fence. Palestinian health officials reported 2 people killed and at least 69 others wounded by live fire, 9 seriously. The relocation of the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to the new one in Jerusalem has infuriated the Palestinians, who seek East Jerusalem as a future capital. Monday marked the biggest showdown in recent weeks between Israel's military and Gaza's Hamas rulers along the volatile border. Scrolling up. It is the culmination of a campaign led by the Islamic militant Hamas and fueled by despair among Gaza's 2 million people to break the decade-old border blockade of the territory by Israel and Egypt. Since weekly border marches began in late March, 44 Palestinian protesters have been killed and more than 1,800 wounded by Israeli army fire. Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, an Israeli military spokesman, said the army... Hang on. All right. Said the army had bolstered its frontline forces along the border, but also set up additional layers of security in and around neighboring communities to defend Israeli civilians in case of a mass breach. He said there already had been several significant attempts to break through the fence. The timing of the embassy move and the marches was deeply symbolic. The U.S. said it chose the date to coincide with the 70th anniversary of Israel's establishment, but also marks the anniversary of what Palestinians call their Nakba, or catastrophe, a reference to the uprooting of hundreds of thousands who fled or were expelled from what is now Israel during the 1948 war surrounding Israel's independence. Scrolling up. And protesters have used the thick smoke as a cover against Israeli snipers perched on high sand berms on the other side of the border. Leaflets dropped over Gaza by army jets warned that those approaching the border jeopardize their lives. The warning said the army is prepared to face all scenarios and will act against every attempt to damage the security fence or harm IDF soldiers or Israeli civilians. In Jerusalem, top Trump administration officials attended events linked to the inauguration of the embassy later Monday. Oh, yes, more coffee, please. I need more coffee. Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be a power. And don't forget, Ramadan is coming up very, very soon.
Yeah.
So that situation over there, yeah, you know, we already have Israel and Iran going at it.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have this going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun time over there. And like I said, we'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah. Well, this
if I get more news today.
Between Palestine and Israel, theirs has been a holy war because according to both of their beliefs, well, according to Bible scholars who have studied the Bible and the writings and stuff, the Israelis are supposed to be a quote-unquote nationless people. And that's what Palestine is, one of the contentions as to the Gaza Strip and now, you know, the embassy being in Jerusalem, which is being recognized officially now as Israel's capital.
And what Gaza is trying to do is they're pissed off, of course, over Jerusalem, over the United States, Donald Trump saying that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. Gaza has been trying for years, decades, trying to get East Jerusalem as their capital. Mm-hmm. So needless to say, conflict of interest, and once again, they get their panties in an uproar. And here we are.
Yep. Morning Numbskull. Draconis, do you think sending a holy hand grenade will help? I don't think so. I mean, there has been a two-state proposal, but we all know that at this point, none of us are holding out hope that Palestine is going to take a look at that and go, okay, that's a good idea, let's go with that.
In fact, Israel twice in their history has offered Palestine a two-state solution, being generous and giving them more land and everything else, but Palestine has said, no, we will not deal with Jews. It's even in their constitution, or something, or the song, or whatever it is, says that they will not rest and they'll never agree with Jews until they're wiped off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's going to be no peace over there.
No. I mean, the only one that was successfully able to negotiate anything over there, and I have to give credit because he was a better statesman than the president, was Jimmy Carter.
That's the only thing he did right.
Yeah.
Over here, he was a fiasco.
When it comes to being president, he was one of the worst. I mean, it's bad when one of the worst presidents, Jimmy Carter, took a look at Obama. He said Obama was worse than he was. That admission said a lot.
It's saying a lot. But also, with Jimmy Carter in the Mideast and everything else, it was Ronald Reagan when he got elected that those hostages were let free.
Yeah.
So that's saying a lot as well.
It is.
But, yeah, at this rate, it's going to be worms. Yes, Hunley, worms. Alright, now, I'm going to make a bad joke before I get into this, because it is a serious story. But you know how families go to church on Sundays? Well, apparently in Indonesia, you have families that go on suicide bombing attacks together.
Oh, the family that bombs together. Oh.
Yes. I don't know what the rest of that would be. Chat, come up with something crafty with that. A family that bombs together, blah, blah, blah. As I read this. This happened in Surabaya, Indonesia. An Indonesian family brought its I didn't spell that right? Dang. Brought its 8-year-old daughter to a suicide bomb attack it launched Monday on the police headquarters in the country's second largest city. A day after, members of another family conducted coordinated suicide bombings at 3 city churches that killed 12 people. National Police Chief Tito Carnavayan said the girl, who was with the 2 of the attackers on a motorcycle, survived being thrown by the blast at Sarabaya's police headquarters. The attack killed the 4 perpetrators, 6 civilians, and 4 officers were wounded. The attack came just hours after police said the family that carried out the church bombings, including girls of aged 9 and 12.
Shit.
The flurry of bombings raised concerns that previously beaten down militant networks in the world's most populous Muslim-majority nation have been reinvigorated, and you know I was going to screw that one up, by the return of some of the estimated 1,100 Indonesians who went to fight with the IS state groups in Syria. Experts have warned for several years that when those fighters return, they could pose a significant threat. IS claimed responsibility, of course they did, for the church bombings in a statement carried by its AMAC news agency. Carnavayan, however, said earlier police comments that the family had spent time in Syria were incorrect. He said the church bombers and the police headquarters attackers were friends, as were another family whose homemade bombs exploded in their apartment Sunday night. Good.
Premature detonation. Oh.
Always gotta wear protection. All told, 25 people have died since Sunday, including a total of 13 militants and their children.
And the request was answered. We've got a family that bombs together, dies together. A family that bombs together, hates together. Bring your kids to blow yourself up day. Worst holiday ever. And a family that bombs together reaches paradise with kids going at half price.
Oh, you guys don't disappoint.
Oh,
awesome.
No, they don't. I mean, this is the most extreme case of what happens when you pull your children into politics. I mean, we're seeing it today in the U.S. with the marches for gun control. We're seeing it in the U.S. for all the feminist marches and all that crap that's going on all over the world. But this is the most extreme case of pulling your children into political or ideological fights. That's no place for children.
The only miracle here was that 6-year-old bomb blew her away from the damage.
Yeah.
But now she grows up with no family.
Yeah. Numbskull, you are not safe from premature explosions. No.
Oh, you guys are on the ball.
Oh, yes, they are. They never disappoint. That's why we love our live chat. That's why we love it.
And all they wanted to do was kill Christians. That was their whole attempt. They wanted to kill Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Religion of peace.
Right.
According to CNN, religion of peace. Panita, talk about bring your child to work day for professional suicide bombers.
I know. Yeah, that's my, hey, I just heard the woo-woo of ooh, that's my ringtone. That's my ringtone on my phone.
So yeah, this is not going to end because they're too entrenched in their ideologies, and it sucks.
All right, now on to India. From Indonesia to India, powerful storms kill at least 43 across northern India. In Lucknow, India, powerful winds and rainstorms swept across a crowded swath of northern India, demolishing houses, uprooting trees, and killing at least 43 people. As wind turns the skies brown with dust and sand. Most of the deaths occurred when the wind and falling trees caused buildings to collapse, leaving people buried in the wreckage. Oops. In the town of Bareilly, the minaret of a mosque fell on a group of people taking shelter in the courtyard, killing 8 people.
Ouch.
Yeah, ouch. In another town, one man was killed when he was hit by a billboard that had been blown loose less than 2 weeks ago. Similar storms caused 143 deaths and injured another 400. The extreme weather comes amid withering summer heat and approaching monsoon rains. Like they don't have enough problems over there. These storms are not unusual at this time of year, said J.P. Gupta, the Meteorological Office Director for Uttar Pradesh State. But the wind speed this year is a bit abnormal. Winds reach speeds of up to 109 kilometers per hour, that's 68 miles an hour for us in the U.S., Sunday. Trains and commuter rail lines were paused and dozens of flights were diverted from New Delhi's International Airport. As the storm blew into the city, at least 42 people were killed in the sprawling Uttar Pradesh state, which has a population of more than 210 million people. 50 people were injured when uprooted trees fell on houses, with 38 of those admitted to hospitals. At least one more person was killed in New Delhi. A large swath of Uttar Pradesh was also without electricity overnight because of broken power lines. Separately, at least 13 people were killed by storms elsewhere in India, including 9 in Andhra Pradesh and 4 in West Bengal.
They're getting hammered. By the way, numbskull, practice prevents professional bombing. Always test your explosives on yourself before others. But yeah, India, especially that area right there of Uttar Pradesh and around there, they've been getting hammered with these storms.
Yeah, and their monsoon season's coming up soon, which means they're going to get hit with heavy, heavy rains.
Yeah, it's not, this is what India needs, just more craptacular weather.
Right?
Everywhere in the world's getting it.
Yeah, finally. Okay, screw this. Can we just fucking nuke a lot of them, the entire region? Do them a favor. Instant paradise for a lot of them.
Now, how do I say that? The first word? Because I was thinking it would be, is it shit or Shiite?
Shiite.
Okay. Oops. Sorry for any Baghdadis out there. Shiite cleric al-Sadr leads in Iraq's initial vote results. This was in Baghdad. The political coalition of influential Shiite cleric Muqtada al-Sadr took an early lead in Iraqi's national elections. The partial returns announced late Sunday by the Iraqi Electoral Commission. An alliance of candidates linked to Iraqi's powerful Shiite paramilitary groups was in second. The alliance is headed by Hadi al-Amiri, a former minister of transport. Amiri. Hadi al-Amiri, a former minister of transport with close ties to Iran, who became a senior commander of paramilitary fighters in the fight against Islamic State extremist group. Prime Minister Haidar al-Abadi, whatever. The Prime Minister right now, performed poorly across the majority Shiite provinces that should have been his base of support. The announcement just came over 24 hours after polls closed across the country amid record low voter turnout. Because we discussed the story last week, it was apathy. People really didn't care. It included full returns from only 10 of the country's 19 provinces, including the provinces of Baghdad and Basra. Seats in Parliament will be allocated proportionally to coalitions once all votes are counted. The Commission gave no indication that when further results would be announced. Celebrations erupted in Baghdad's Sadr city, in a province quarter that is home to some 3 million people and is named after the cleric's late father, Ayatollah Muhammad Sadr al-Sadr. The young al-Sadr campaigned on a cross-sectarian platform fighting corruption and investing in services, and struck a surprising alliance with the Communist Party in the capital. Why is that surprising?
I don't know.
Al-Sadr commanded fighters in the war against IS group and headed a powerful military that fought U.S. forces in Iraq prior to 2011. Al-Abadi sought to retain his post as prime minister after overseeing the military defeat of the IS movement, but faced stiff competition from his predecessor, Nouri al-Maliki, as well as al-Sadr and Fatah alliance of candidates with paramilitary ties. Many of the candidates on the Fatah were militia commanders before they cut their official ties with the force in order to seek office. Fatah's straw result will be seen as a victory for Iran, as it seeks to protect its interests in Iraq, including the militias it finances and has sometimes directed to fight alongside its forces in Syria. Al-Sadr is a staunch foe of Iranian American influence on that. Try that again. Al-Sadr is a, make sure you cut this out when you record it later. Al-Sadr is a staunch foe of Iranian and American influence in Iraqi politics. This is the fourth election since the 2003 U.S.-led toppling of Saddam Hussein. Officials said turnout was only 44%, the lowest ever since Saddam's ouster. Political power in Iraq is traditionally divided along sectarian lines among the offices of Prime Minister, President, and Parliament Speaker. Since the first elections allowed in the 2003 U.S.-led toppling of Saddam Hussein, the Shiite majority has held the position of Prime Minister, while the Kurds, wow, some names, have held the presidency, and the Sunnis have held the post of Parliament Speaker.
So 3 different political groups, 3 different positions. Wow.
Pretty much. Ugh. Next time, I gotta make sure you get all the hard names. Oh, bacon! Wait a minute. Bacon?
Yeah. Numbskull asked, if I hunt ISIS with a watermelon cleaver, how much bacon can I fry? Just wondering. And Hunley said, all the damn bacon you want.
Oh, yeah. Know what you should do is you gotta dip the bullets in bacon grease and then fire them at them. That way they don't go to heaven.
It's almost, to keep up with all these different factions, it's almost like you need a baseball program. Because you got the Sunni, you got the Shiite, you got Hamas, you've got ISIS. And all, you know, some of these people like each other, but most of these people can't stand each other. So they can't ever agree on anything.
Well, you know what the problem is? And I'm researching the Syria conflict. The problem is the lines that are drawn after World War I and then after World War II. You know, the winners always, you know, get the spoils.
Yeah. And
they redrew the whole map of the Middle East. So, for example, the Kurds, who should have their own Kyrgyzstan, didn't get that. Instead, they were split up between 3 countries. So, guess who gets wiped out and picked on for most of the time?
The Kurds.
None of the boundaries. Yep, exactly. None of the boundaries matched the way it should have been. If they were matched the way it should have been, so there would have been Kyrgyzstan, Shitstein, and Sunnystein, or whatever, they would have been. We wouldn't see the bullshit we're seeing now.
No.
So thanks to the colonial imperial powers, according to CNN, I read that off a piece of paper because CNN told me to. And so yeah, and Draconis, I gotta do this the right way. Bacon.
There we go.
There we go.
And then you all right there?
Excuse me. Damn, not doing that again.
You gotta do it more from the diaphragm. You gotta do it more from the diaphragm, less from the throat.
Yeah, I realized that.
I think you gave everybody ear rape too.
Hey, it's a Monday. You're all awake now.
Oh, okay. So the next story comes to us is contributed by our own Panina Chan. Did I kill the Merlin? No.
I don't think so. Oh, there it is.
There it is. Spotify removes R. Kelly music from its playlist as part of new hate content and hateful conduct policy. It's going around, y'all. It's going around. May 10th, Spotify users will no longer use
make sure you thank Panina. Thank Panina.
I did before I started reading it.
Never mind.
May 10th.
Cancel.
May 10th, Spotify users will no longer be able to find R. Kelly's music on any of the streaming services, editorial, or algorithmic playlists. Under the terms of the new public hate content and hateful conduct policy Spotify is putting into effect, the company will no longer promote the R&B singer's music in any way, removing his songs from flagship playlists like Rap Caviar, Discover Weekly, or New Music Friday, for example, as well as its other genre or mood-based playlists. Spotify told Billboard in a statement his music will still be available on the service, but Spotify will not actively promote it. We do not censor content because of an artist's or creator's behavior, but we want our editorial decisions, here we go, what we choose to program to reflect our values. When an artist or creator does something that is especially harmful or hateful, it may affect the ways we work with or support that artist or creator. Over the past several years, R. Kelly has been accused by multiple women of sexual violence, coercion, and running a sex cult. Not to mention peeing on people in the closet.
No.
including 2 additional women who came forward to BuzzFeed this week. Oh, BuzzFeed, how doth we loathe thee? Let us count the ways. Though he has never been convicted of a crime, he has come under increasing scrutiny under the past several weeks, particularly with the launch of the hashtag Mute R. Kelly movement. At the end of April, Kelly has vociferously defended himself, saying those accusing him are an attempt to distort my character and destroy my legacy. Honey, you did that by yourself when you peed on me. I mean, honey, when you molest children, you sort of screw yourself up there, honey. Come on. Kelly's the only artist that Spotify specifically acknowledged would fall under this new public policy, though others may also be affected. Later on Thursday, Billboard was able to confirm that the controversial rapper Triple X Temptation had also been removed from playlists, namely the highly influential rap Caviar. Let me see. The hateful conduct provision is one part of the new policy. The company is making a point to acknowledge there are different cultural standards as to what could be considered offensive in different regions around the globe. Offense is only taken, it's not given, and it's highly subjective. Spotify is available in more than 50 countries worldwide, but worked together with several advocacy groups to determine its definition of hate content, including the Southern Poverty Law Center, the Anti-Defamation League, Color of Change, Showing Up for Racial Justice, GLAAD, Muslim Advocates, and the International Network Against Cyber Hate. Yes, these idiots
are we surprised?
Everywhere.
Are we surprised?
Not in the least. Hate content is content that is expressly and principally promotes, advocates, or incites hatred or violence against a group or individual based on characteristics including race, sex, religion, gender identity, sex, ethnicity, nationality, sexual orientation, veteran status, or disability. That means you got to get rid of all the hip-hop from the playlists, y'all. The policy reads, when we are alerted to content that violates our policy, we may remove it in consultation with rights holders or refrain from promoting or manually programming it on our service. The company acknowledges that with more than 35 million tracks on its service, it cannot police everything and has introduced a 3-prong reporting system for hate content or hateful conduct, including internal monitoring from its teams already in place, consultations with expert partners such as the advocacy groups it works with to develop the policy, and user comments and reports. The company also says it has created a monitoring tool called Spotify Audio Watch to help it screen for and flag hate content. Yep, YouTube wannabes. I completely agree. And after today, because of this wonderful policy, I am going to go into my account for Spotify, and I am no longer going to pay for their service. I'm probably going to wind up uninstalling it from my computer and trying to find the adapter for my external hard drive reader and start putting my own personal music choices on my computer.
Hunley said, by the way, Hunley says that he wants me in a cat suit and thigh-high boots and drop me in the Middle East.
You're in trouble. So all the songs with love, country, the N-word, rap, insults, remakes are now banned. Well, the whole thing is when you start hate speech. Okay, like I said, offense is taken. It's not given. Okay, and it's highly subjective. And when hip-hop was big in the 90s, it was all about rump shaking, let's face it, objectifying women. Every hip-hop video had half-naked women in it. It was about, gangsters and all this other stuff. Yes, I said a word that Ronan banned me from using because it doesn't sound right coming out of my mouth.
Gangsters, yo.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll stop doing that.
So, it's like, if you're going to do this, doesn't that mean that any type of hip-hop with those type of lyrics and any type of rap with those types of lyrics should be taken off playlists? R&B nowadays has a lot of those lyrics in them. So wouldn't those be taken off playlists as well? I mean, I hate to use the fallacy term, but they're on a slippery slope.
But now we'll have the liberals. They're basically going to turn around now and say that this is against free speech.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they're stupid like that.
Yeah.
So now it's against free speech. You know, we should be protecting our free speech for them to sing whatever the heck they want.
Hundley, y'all want peace and love across the globe, you have to turn the earth itself into a giant bong. Get everybody high, so go get Snoop Dogg on this ASAP.
A Snoop Pup what?
Snoop Dogg. Snoop Doggy Dogg.
Snoop Ice?
Even I know Snoop Dogg. Come on, man.
I don't know what you're talking about, so...
Alright, you get the next story.
Alright. You know, everybody's... You know, politicians are complaining about not having jobs out there in our country. Well, cartels are recruiting high school students to smuggle drugs, people into the U.S. That's saying. And like I said, the politicians say there's no jobs out there today, but yet we have cartels recruiting. Come on! Everybody's doing it.
Come join the cartel, be a mule. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. A high school senior in Southern California was charged in federal court last week with recruiting his fellow classmates to smuggle drugs from Mexico to the United States, which federal officials say is part of a larger problem affecting the region. Philip Jr. Webb, 18, was charged Monday with conspiracy to distribute controlled substances and smuggling foreign nationals for financial gain, according to the statement from the U.S. Attorney's Office. The 18-year-old was caught on May 4th, attempted to bring in a Chinese national and a Mexican national into the U.S. in the trunk of his vehicle.
Wow, that's a big
Well, the Chinese is small.
No, it must have been a Honda. Honda have really big trunks. I'm telling you.
Well, Chinese are short people anyway. So you can put the Chinese in there, and the Mexican you can kind of like wrap around. Anyway, the U.S. Attorney Office said, okay, in an unrelated criminal complaint, 27-year-old Alejandro Barba. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, what she said, with the accent, from San Diego, was charged last Monday with conspiracy to distribute meth after agents spotted a junior. Oh wow! All right, I got to rewind here real quick. So yeah, last Monday with conspiracy to distribute meth after agents spotted a juvenile enter his car parked at San Ysidro High School, removed items from his backpack and got out. Agents who later stopped Barba found 5 kilograms of meth in his back seat. He is accused of recruiting a high school student to smuggle the meth across the U.S. border from Mexico earlier that day. Walker Hobson told Fox 5 that authorities are seeing more students recruited by drug cartels at schools in San Diego County, primarily in the South Bay. I had a case where the defendant went to Mexico, got less than 2 grams of fentanyl, and it led to 5 overdoses in Alpine, she said. 6 students were arrested for smuggling in March, including 1 student said he did it at least 20 times, according to Walker Hobson. The money's out there for these kids, so it's up to the community to go and educate these kids so they don't do this. She told Fox 5, it's not worth your freedom and your liberty. Your parents are going to be very unhappy with you bringing drugs into the U.S. for $400.
Well, let's see. As a prior story, gender identity. When a man loves a woman is no longer allowed. Yeah, like I said, slippery slope. Neil, a high schooler, a Mexican, and a Chinaman drove into a country. Honey, and now they wish they all had lube.
I mean, the government's saying that's wrong, but yet the cartel's bringing jobs back to America.
Yeah, but not the jobs.
Oh, by the way, Fuckwad, if you're still here, the story's coming up is for you.
Yeah, it's a New York story. Yeah, I mean, it's just... And yeah, we have to educate these kids. Excuse me. You can educate the kids as much as you want, but when you're 15, 16 years old and somebody waves $400 in your face to smuggle something in or out of a country, $400 to a 15-year-old kid? Come on.
That's $400 they could spend on Fortnite.
Or a new pair of
character
tennis
skins.
Shoes. Or a
yeah.
new pair of tennis shoes, you know, or a gaming headset, you know, what have you. It's like, shh. Let's face it. Teenagers don't think ahead. They're not going, well, if you give me this $400 and I get caught, I'm gonna go to jail. No, thank you. They're thinking, oh, $400, new gaming headset.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would be thinking the same way. That's $400 of Lego right there.
Mm-hmm. And the last story of the day as I scroll down to get to the headline. Lousy anti-rat campaign reminds New Yorkers not to feed rodents. Please don't play with the rats. Mayor de Blasio's Mayor de Blasio's latest attempt to curb the city's rat population involves telling New Yorkers what they already know. Don't feed the rodents. The city has begun stationing an army of workers in 30 parks in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the Bronx to warn people that it has experienced problems with rats. No shit. It's New York. And make sure they know that. Rats are a health hazard, especially to children and seniors, according to the International Parks Department. Emails and sources. Instead of wasting man hours to warn people what they already know, why don't they just use those man hours to clean up the city? Just saying. I know. It's your 2 cents. But some residents say the move only shows that City Hall is a Mickey Mouse operation. You know what would be more useful if de Blasio had them empty the trash more often, said Rob Wooster in Tompkins Square Park in the East Village Sunday. Union members with Parks Department said workers with both the agency's Parks Enforcement Patrol and Urban Park Rangers divisions were first dispatched last week. The union said the move is sapping valuable manpower that is meant to police the city's 30,000 acres of parkland. PEP officers' starting salaries are about $47,000 annually, according to a city job posting. Scrolling up. Let me see. Suggesting that the rat patrol workers are making at least $22 an hour to tell people there are rodents in New York City. Hey, there's a rat there! Watch out! There's a rat there! That's a rat! Don't feed it! PEP officers are executing core responsibilities by educating New Yorkers on parks littering rules and rat-related issues, said Mike Dock.
No, they're not! They're saying don't feed the rats! That's all they're saying!
Assistant Commissioner for the Urban Park Service. Many of the locations already have signs telling people not to feed rats or litter. 20 of the 30 parks also have new supposedly rat-proof trash cans. The administration last year announced a $32 million plan to battle rats that included buying 336 of the trash compacting litter bins for $7,000.
Oh.
The city would not respond to questions about whether the cans have been effective. The furry invader left Kisner red-faced during a press conference last month in which he touted rat-killing dry ice at NYCHA development, only to have one of the wily rodents escape while city workers were supposed to be demonstrating how effective Oh my god.
Let's see. Of course, Mazzo, this makes me regret being a New Yorker.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Don't feed the rat. That's a rat. Don't feed it. Don't feed the rats, y'all. Don't feed them.
I hope you guys like this story. 'Cause what I'm trying to do is, after all this dramatic stories and everything else, I just want to set the light, tie a little bow on for the day. Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoy these. And yeah, Mazzo, do you have pet rats? I'm sure you do, because apparently all New Yorkers have pet rats.
or unwanted house guests, one of the two. Jacob, I don't think you're dumb. I'm going to explain this to you again. Not everyone that watches my live streams have ever heard of some of the games that I play, nor have they heard any of the music that I play. When I explain things, I'm not explicitly explaining them to you.
Hunley, I've always wanted to get a coffee and a Danish and sit in Central Park enjoying the morning and discussing philosophy with the local hobos.
Wow. Oh, Lord. Numbskull just found out that was just blocked worldwide. Here I thought me and my pet rat would go to New York. You guys are great.
So, New York, one giant mouse trap. No, rat trap.
Yeah.
What's that movie? Ratatouille or something like that?
Ratatouille?
Yes, that's all I could think of.
Yep, Ratatouille. Oh my god. That's just... oh my god, that's hilarious.
Oh, I'm brain damaged. Don't worry, sad man. I'm brain damaged. But he doesn't smuggle people in. That's good.
Yeah.
Or rats.
Yeah, we were just...
Rats lives matter. Sorry.
Jacob. Hashtag not all teenagers. We're not saying you would do it. Oh, Lord.
Yes.
All right.
Not all teenagers.
Yeah, not
well,
all.
unless you live in San Diego, then. Anyway.
Ooh. All right, let's roll the next one and get in here. And on our road to affiliate, and yes, I remembered to unmute myself this morning. Woohoo! I'm doing good so far.
Yeah, you are. And also, by the way, Jaconis, snuggle the rap folk out of New York now.
Right? Alright, needing an average of 3 viewers per stream, Iron Emperor 9000 is currently playing Riders of Icarus, and that's all he needs is 3 watchers per stream in order to get that coveted affiliate status. And I was listening to some of his commentary as he's playing the game. He's kind of funny. He's very personable. So he's a good guy to check out. Stop by the stream. Give him some support. So again, that is Iron Emperor 9000. The next one on the list needs... Oops, I clicked the wrong one. And I'm going back. And we have another blooper. 25 people to make it to that coveted affiliate status. Last time he was playing Fortnite, so y'all go over and give Pale Irish a little bit of support. And those are our road to affiliates this morning.
Woohoo!
Don't forget to share the love, watch other streamers, because there are a lot of small Twitch channels out there trying to, you know, get to affiliate to make a little bit of extra money every month. So go check them out. And now we have the next segment.
This just in. Beverly Hills 90210, Cleveland Browns 3.
Alright, the first video on the recommended watch list this morning is Drinking Borax for Fun and Profit by Sir Sick, the Inequality Crusader. The Social Inequality Crusader. I watched this video this morning and I'm asking him to give me the link to the video that he responded to, because this woman is nuts. This woman is literally making borax solutions with a teaspoon of borax at a time, and she is touting all these health benefits that come from drinking borax solutions. My eyes
Isn't it borax?
this morning. It is a trace mineral that is naturally occurring in the body. Trace mineral.
Isn't that used for cleaning or something like that?
Borax is actually a naturally occurring mineral in the earth that is used mainly for cleaning. Yes, but you can also put it in mineral and bath salts to help smooth the skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More power to her. Yeah.
Right.
Let's encourage her. More. Drink more. Not a teaspoon. Make it a tablespoon. Make it a cup.
The next video is, every time I watch his videos, I have the Roll Britannia dun, 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 stuck in my head, and you're welcome for the earworm. He is going over the week that was for the 13th of May 2018. The British recovers news stories, the ridiculous and the absolutely absurd, and he does it in his own very British way. So give that particular video a shout out, will you? And give it a look and maybe put some comments in the comments section. I like watching his stuff. He's very succinct, and he has, in this one, he particularly tackles a couple of stories where the police are trying to police chalk-ridden street signs where people are doing innuendos and double entendres for sales and stuff. Like, how would you like your rump beat this morning because the guy's a butcher? You know, stuff like that. Oh yeah, it's funny. That video deserves a look-see. The next one. The purveyor of strings of absolutely artfully crafted insults. We have the Rageaholic, otherwise known as our favorite guy, and he is going over the Iran deal or no deal. Oh, he does it wonderfully.
That's good.
He does it absolutely wonderfully. So you have got to watch him. So let me see. He is one of my favorite commentators. And like I said, he is very artful when it comes to his insults. It's one of those where I say when I grow up. But he is really good. So go and check him out. And the last one is your boy Pat. He has questions for Opinionated European. He started this series, I think, a few weeks ago, and last week he got a response from someone on Twitter saying that they were busy right now on tour, and that when they got back they were going to respond to his questions. So he's actually actively starting conversations. And
cool.
His questions are very well thought out. Of course, this is your boy Pat. I've always loved Pat's content. He's a really cool guy. He's laid back, and he's very common sense about things, which is what I like about him.
Sandman is very displeasurable when it comes to the LA Dodgers.
Yes.
But he did enjoy the baseball game review.
See, I don't watch baseball. I consider it a cure for insomnia.
I mean, I'm a Mets fan, and that's embarrassing to say as it is. But anyway,
Right.
moving on.
I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
All right, and it is not an article. It is a bunch of funny memes for your edification this morning. So I will read these as I scroll. 29 comical picks for your Monday. We're not going to go through all 29, but we are going to go through a fair amount of them. When your boyfriend and husband are at the same bar, so you're like, are you cold? Let me get the heat going as soon as you get to your destination. It took me a minute to comprehend that my 5-year-old had invented a new hands-free iPad technology. Kids. These Macy's mannequins look like they're hungover in the shower thinking about their life choices. Oh my god, they do. They totally do. Oh, it's all in the posing.
Oh yes, good old emo look.
How do people my age plan spontaneous trips to Thailand? I can barely afford a spontaneous soft pretzel. My booking table for Valentine's Day, like, table for one.
Yep, basically, yep.
Well, and this is for the winter. Walking outside today, like, even my nuts are frozen.
Oh, I love lag.
This is how
There
this
we
game
go.
of Monopoly end. Okay, so how do I get in shape? Him. You're gonna need to eat less and exercise more. Her. Okay, no, but seriously. Hello? Is this Jake from State Farm? How in the hell did they accomplish that?
Very carefully.
Holy crap.
Or not carefully at all.
I'm so broke I had to choose between paying my electric bill or getting groceries. I bought lipstick.
Makes sense.
Makes sense. And when you push a pull door and someone says you have to pull it, like, yeah, no, my next plan was to start lifting it from the bottom.
Yeah. Oh, Mezzo. Mannequins of hot topic.
GTA in real life. Alright, and today's Humble Bundle highlight. As soon as...
Ooh, what is it? What is it?
Well,
what is it?
Hang on.
What is it?
I know, right?
Don't make me wait.
It screwed up on me. I'm trying not to make you wait. But as always, is Super Nebula Author Showcase 2018. Super Nebula Author Showcase presented by Sci-Fi Coalition. Some of the best speculative fiction ever. So this is a collection of science fiction novels. Pay what you want. So for $1 or more, you get City of Truth. Met in Lankmar and Ship of Shadows. Repent, Harlequin, said the TikTok man, the falling woman. Sister Emily's Light Ship. A title I can't pronounce by Pierce Anthony. Hard Landing, All Flesh is Grass. The Healer's War, Vintage Tomorrows. For $8 or more, you can unlock dinner at Deviant's Place, Tea with the Black Dragon, The Sheep Look Up, Bones of the Earth, The Silent Strength of Stones, The Empire of Ice Cream, White Jenna, Parable of Sower, In Calabria, Falling in Love with Hominids, Storyteller, Writing Lessons and More from 27 Years of the Clarion Writers Workshop, Mothers and Other Monster Stories, Whitehall Season 1, 21st Century Robot.
Ooh.
Oh, I know, I do that when I do the game show, Numbskull. Rich Hortons, for $15 or more, you get Rich Hortons, the year's best science fiction and fantasy. The Mount, The Witch Who Came In from the Cold, Season 1, Parable of the Talents. This Is the Way the World Ends. Night Wings. The Search for Philip K. Dick. Wow. Sister Light, Sister Light, Sister Dark, Babel 17, and Tremontaine. $20 or more will also get you Being There, The Female Man, Blood Music, The Begotten Daughter, Book Burners, The Book of Skulls, Powers, and Dahlgren. And it supports science fiction and fantasy writers of America. And if you guys are interested, the link to that is now in the live chat. So, yep, we are highlighting sci-fi books today. Super Nebula, I believe, is the award they give to sci-fi writers. if I am correct on that. Wet the Floor by IP Freely.
Oh, damn. Good one, Holly.
Yep, and as always, the list is ever growing, so the blog page is actually working. To check out a list of streamers going on throughout the day and into the evening, the link is now in the live chat. If anyone you know has a scheduled stream that isn't on that list, have them DM me on Twitter with the channel link, the day, and the subject, and I will do my best to update that page. The list is growing. I think it was 3 times last week I got contacted when I was circulating that link out on Twitter, so I had to update it about 3 times last week.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and a lot of the smaller channels are now getting a little notoriety because of that list, which kind of brings a smile to my face because I like helping smaller channels.
Yay! Be helping the world.
Yeah, we are helping people. One announcement at a time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a long list, but we'll get there eventually.
Yep.
Eventually.
Let's face it. YouTube's ever-changing terms of service and algorithms is making it damn near difficult, if not virtually impossible, for smaller channels to get onto the algorithms, much less get any kind of notoriety. And
Numbskull says, by Wednesday and Friday at 7 p.m., I'm trying to keep the great debate going. Eastern Standard Time.
DM me to remind me, and I will also add that to the page, Numbskull.
And also Thursday night at what time do we start? Usually,
also Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Coffee Talk is going to be about the situation in Syria, the major players, the negotiations.
Oh, no. No, not that one. We're doing the one with Penina and.
Oh, that one. Tell them what's going on.
Oh, we're going to be covering a couple of students from Parkland, and not David Hogg and Emmy Gonzalez or Emily, whatever her name is, but 2 conservative, bright young men. One of them who blew the top off the Broward School Board 2 weeks ago. We're going to be discussing that, and we're going to go through the exhaustive list, which I think is the final list of every mistake that was made by the system to prove that it was the system and not the guns. And I'm on page 5, I think. Okay. So, yeah.
Yeah, keep an eye on that, because that will be happening 7 p.m. Thursday evening Eastern Standard Time, which is midnight over there in the UK. As they are 5 hours ahead of us.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Mm-hmm. And on that note, we have a Batman popping in late because we're getting ready to roll this outro. May May your coffee ever flow, may your caffeine be ever strong, and may you guys have as marvelous a Monday as you can muster. Ciao.
Hi. I'm a Merlin. Bye.